Hello and welcome back to Avon Valley. As you can see, we've gotten this field mowed and it's all nicely windrowed and we are ready to pick it up. So I'm going to finish this up real quick and we'll meet back over at the store and we'll pick out a loading wagon. All right, we've finished that up. Let's head back over to the shop. I've spoken to the owners of the shop, and they don't really have a problem with me leaving my equipment in the parking lot. So that's what we're going to be doing. See, I threw a little role play in there at you. Okay, so when we get over here, we're looking for a loading wagon and, of course, a tractor to pull it with. And we're looking to do that at the lowest possible price. So, um, this is where we're going to get in the discussion of what we should, or how realistically we're going to play this. I like to say that I play in a realistic ish style. So we are going to be playing realisticishly because, there are mods out there that will basically allow you to do pretty much anything. You can cheat money in if you want to, but then what's the point of playing the game if you're going to cheat in a bunch of money? So, all right, let's do some shopping. All right, first thing we're going to buy is a loading wagon or a forage wagon, whatever you want to call it. Now, these are priced well, but they're a little bit small. This one holds 26,000 liters. Um, and these are a little pricier than I want to deal with. So we can go to the bargain end of the spectrum. This holds 30,000 liters, but there are some drawbacks. It is, number one, it's very tall, and it's very hard to get it underneath any sort of shelter. Number two, it's very, very difficult to stop this thing. No matter how big your tractor is and no matter how good its brakes are, it's very difficult to stop this thing when it's full. And if you're not careful where you park it, it will just roll away. It apparently doesn't come with any sort of wheel chocks like most trailers do, so you have to be very careful where you park it. It it does hold 30,000.3 liters for $11,500. It's a really good price. And if we were extremely hard up for cash, this would definitely be an option. But I don't think we're going to use it this time. I think what we're going to use this time is this mod right here. This holds 32,000 liters. It can be pulled with a 150 horsepower tractor. It's a really good sized loading wagon. It's a little pricey, but I happen to know that it is capable of taking advantage of some recent advancements in compression technology, and using those that special technology, we're going to be able to slightly expand the capacity of this to about 45,000 liters. And this is where the realistic-ish-ly part comes in. So yeah, we're for 75.5, we're going to get ourselves a 45,000 liter forage wagon, which I think is a really good deal. So we're going to buy that. There we go. Now we need a tractor to pull it with, and it's got to be at least 150 horsepower. I would prefer it be slightly larger so that we don't have to replace it really soon. So we need to be looking in medium tractors. Anything that's not a mod at this point is going to be way too expensive for us. We can't afford anything that is modern. So this, do not be tempted by this or this. These tractors have horsepower and they're cheap, but they suck and they don't go very fast. So if you've watched Mr. Sealy P's video recently in Griffin, Indiana, you'll see that he had major issues with this. It just decides that it's only going to go 3 or 4 miles an hour at some points. So, and there's not anything you can do about it. It's just going to go 3 miles an hour. So he sold it pretty quickly after getting it. This is the one that I'm looking at, and I tested it on another map. It runs great. It's $32,000 for 170 horsepower. But if we come over here and we change this, for another $7,500, we can get up to 210 horsepower. So I think that's a really good deal for $39,500. We're going to put some weight on the front of it. I think we're going to max out the weight on the front of it. So we'll go back to that. And then I think we're going to go with the wide tires. And let's kind of go through all the options. I like the Midas, so we're going to go with the Midas. And we're up to 42,160, which I think is a great price. So we're going to buy that. Okay. And now we're going to go pick up some grass. When it gets full, then we'll discuss what we're going to do with it. So let me get out of here. We are going to run over to our tractor. All right, we're going to pause here for just a second. I'll be right back. All right, I had some dog issues, but we've solved all of those, and we are back. So let's hop in this tractor here, the IMT 5210, and hook up our loading wagon here, and away we go. Let's go get some grass. Now, the one drawback about this tractor is it does 21 miles an hour as a top speed. So you're not going anywhere fast in this tractor, but it is 210 horsepower for under 50K. So we're not going to complain too much about the top speed. We'll just enjoy the ride. All right, so loading wagon on, pickup lowered, and let's get some grass. If I can figure out how to do this, how to speed this up and do one of those fancy Daggerwin time lapses, then I'll do that. If I can't, then at some point we may just do a jump cut. But we will speak again when it's time to decide what to do with this grass. Oh, and I forgot to enable the compression technology, and you're only allowed to do that when the wagon is empty. So we'll have to do the first load at a reduced capacity, and then we'll turn on the technology for the next load. Oops. Boy, I can't back in there correctly. There we go. Stinking hedges. Me and hedges don't really get along. Wow, the yield is pretty good on this meadow grass. It's filling up pretty quickly. Gonna be making some silage soon. Alright, so our wagon is full. Now, as for what we're going to do with this, we have to find a place to put our fermentation silo. And then we have to decide which fermentation silo we're going to go with. So I think we're going to put our silo... Well, I was going to put it down here, but on second thought, at some point, I would like to buy this piece of land that has the pond on it, and I would like to put my house right there next to the pond. So I think that means at some point that this area over here will become the yard. So I may have to sacrifice a little bit of grass here in order to put down the fermentation silo, but I can do that. It's not that much grass. Okay, so which silo to go with? Well, let's take a look. All right. So if we go over here to production, construction, production, I have a couple of mods installed. The first one that we'll talk about is this one. It is the Hessian Farms mod, the Hessian Fermenter Silo. It is 15 grand. It makes silage from grass, chaff, straw, and hay. So we can use this one to make silage and send that over to the BGA at some point, or we can set it to sell, or we can put it in our back in our loading wagon, and we can take loads over to the BGA to sell. It's a very good tool, and I've used it on numerous occasions. Recently, this mod came out, which is the Field Products Factory. All right, this thing does a ton of stuff. It will make silage from a variety of different materials, grass, of course. It doesn't make silage from straw, surprisingly. It does make manure from straw, but it doesn't make silage from straw like the Hessian does. It will use potatoes. It will use sugar beets, manure, slurry, all of the usual stuff, plus sugar beets, potatoes, and sugar beet cut. So, now there is a huge price difference. The the Hessian is 15 grand and the Field Products Factory is 100 grand. But I think eventually the Fields Products Factory is going to be what we want because it will make hay from grass. I could put this grass in there and I could either make silage or I could make hay. If I'm using potatoes or sugar beets to make silage, then I can make hay with my grass and it will mix it into total mixed ration so that when we get cows, we'll be able to feed our cows just from the total mixed ration that's mixed in this silo and not have to worry about a mixing wagon and proportions and trying to mix TMR. So, it's a big hit to our pocketbook right now. Uh, so it's a strategy. We could either go with the Hessian for 15 grand. We could make a bunch of silage. We could sell that silage when it's done in January. And then we could buy this. We could, make sure the Hessian is empty. We could tear that down and build this for 100 grand. Or we could just go ahead and build this now. We'd have a little less cash on hand, which we've got a couple of things we want to do with this. So yeah, I think the decisions has been made. We're going to go with the Farm Products Factory, or the Field Products Factory, excuse me. And I think we're going to be happy with that. Okay, so let's see how close to the border of the map it's going to allow me to place this, because I want to get it as far in this corner as I can, but I want to still be able to access it. I'm not going to worry about driving on the field next to us. All right, so we're going to put it there. All right, so now we're down to 134, but we've got a production. So let's empty ourselves into here. So eventually we'll use grass here to make hay. Right now we're going to use grass here to make silage. Alright, and before I forget, we're going to go ahead and increase the capacity, so we'll turn on that technology. And now you see that our capacity has been raised to 48,000 liters, so that'll be a little more helpful, but not necessarily out of the bounds of realism. I'm not picking up 500,000 liters. And I have mods that'll do that, but for this game, we're not going to do that. We're gonna be realistic-ish. So I think 48,000 liters for that forage wagon is ish. All right, so let's go into our settings here. Field Product Factory, we're going to make silage from grass. And we're going to make sure that that silage is storing. Yes, it is. And look at that. We've already made 262 liters of silage. It runs 864 cycles a month. It costs $120 a month to run. Not bad. And you see over here on the left all of the things that it will actually create. Lots of silage from different materials, hay, manure from straw and water. I'm a little iffy on that. You can't really make manure from straw and water. We all know that. Manure comes from animals. So we may or may not do manure from straw. We may just chop up all our straw and not even bother with it. But it will make total mixed ration. It will make total mixed ration from forage, which I'm not sure where forage comes from in the first place, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going to make it from hay and silage. And once we get the BGA produces digestate. So we're going to ship it back over here, and we're going to make solid fertilizer. And then we're going to have a discussion on whether or not we should sell solid fertilizer. But we'll talk about that when the time comes. All right, let's go back and let's pick up more grass, because we got a lot of grass to pick up, and we don't have a whole lot of time to do it. We're running out of daylight, so here we go. This little tractor's doing a good job. For under 50 grand, I'm pretty happy about that. You know, there's the Fiat Agri that people use all the time. And it's a great price and it's a great little tractor, but it makes a god awful noise. And then there's also a Herleman mod that allows you to get 171 horsepower for about 40 grand, maybe a little more than 40, but also a very good deal. Very good deal. I've used that tractor numerous times. Sorry about that. So I uninstalled OneDrive, and now OneDrive keeps telling me that it's not signed in. And I know it's not signed in because I uninstalled it. So I'm not sure why I keep getting these pop-up messages telling me that OneDrive isn't signed in. I don't want it to be signed in. So it's a good thing. So if anybody knows how to make OneDrive completely go away, can you please let me know? I use an Xbox controller and I have a little stick drift on my left analog. So that's why I keep occasionally correcting back to the right, because I need to get the front end aligned. All right. Well, I think the rest of this field is going to be more of the same. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and I'll bring it back when I'm done. We have gotten most of the grass cleared off of this field. We're just working on the last little bit. Get that in our silo and start it making silage. Really impressed with this tractor. It's doing great. It hasn't hesitated at all. And that's got to be a pretty heavy load there. It's a lot of grass. But it's doing it just fine. It makes the turns just fine. It doesn't really slow down a lot. So yeah, good mod. Good mod, good price. This one last row and some bits and pieces here and there. But we are almost done here. So you can see it's taken us a couple of in-game hours at 5x. So I think we've got the time set pretty right. That seems about right. You know, I know there is some technology that exists that will allow us to finish the process a little bit more quickly. So at some point we may look into purchasing some of that technology. maybe making our lives a little bit easier. Again, you know, I want the game to be fun, and these up downs, they hypnotize me. I have dozed off and driven my tractor into the pond more than once. So I kind of empathize with the workers. You know, I can see how they would end up in a tree. They just lose their minds from the constant up and down. And we will be utilizing the workers in this series. The only reason I haven't so far is because we haven't done anything that would allow us to use a worker. Workers only work when they have an actual field to work in. And as of right now, we don't really have a field. We have a meadow that we've mowed. So we will be creating fields ASAP, if for no other reason than to be able to hire workers to work them. Again, I'm about the strategy and the planning and the mechanisms of the game. I'm not necessarily about loving driving a tractor. I grew up on a farm. I learned to drive on a tractor, on an old Massey Ferguson. I don't know the model number, but I do know that it was an old red and gray Massey Ferguson. And during that process of learning to drive on the Massey Ferguson, I took out about 50 feet of barbed wire fence. My father was not pleased. It wasn't like he dug any of the post holes or anything. I mean, I must have dug hundreds of post holes while I was growing up. And the moment I left home, he bought an auger for the tractor and started digging post holes with a machine. So I was replaced by a machine. Isn't that sad? But, the constant up down. This is a very repetitive game. And, there are times when the repetition can be very soothing, when you just need to kind of forget about everything, and I'm going to drive up and down this field 100 times. That's great, but a lot of the times it's not, and you're just trying to get to the next phase of the game, but you've got, an hour of up downs to do. So, there are pros and cons for playing the game in a number of ways. A lot of times you have a very limited amount of time to game. I'm fortunate. I'm retired, so I have a lot more time. But I know a lot of people, they have kids, they have jobs, and you may find an hour here or there to start a game and play. And, you may not want to spend all your time just doing up downs trying to get a field plowed. You may want to be able to speed up your tractor a little bit so that you can do that in a fraction of the time. So, there are reasons why these mods exist. So employ them in a way that does not offend your sensibilities. And I'm sure the rest of us will do the same. So I'm not going to worry too much about the bits and bobs out in the field. And we are going to drop this off and then see how much we got. What's our total? Gotta pull up a little further. All right, field done. Let's look and see what we ended up with. All right, we currently have 285,000 liters of grass, and we have 189,000, 190 now, liters of silage. So in the time it took us to pick up the grass, we've created almost 200,000 liters of silage. So we're going to end up just from this one field with almost 500,000 liters. So that's a good thing. We will have more, but that's what we have right now, and we're just going to let it cook. We're waiting for the best price, and for silage, the best price is going to be January, I'm pretty sure. Yep. January, February. We are playing in hard mode, so you see it's going to be $189 per 1,000 liters. Um, we're not gonna get rich on the first sale, but we will definitely have enough money to stake us to the equipment that we need in order to get rich. So we're working to buy that BGA, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna park this actually right here for now, and I'm gonna hop out. We are losing daylight rapidly, so I better prepare for the night. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a tent right here next to our silo. I like this silo. I think this looks like a good place to spend the night. Eventually, we're gonna build a house over there, but for right now, we're gonna put a tent right here. So let's go into, oh, wrong menu. All right, production, construction, farmhouses, lots of tent mods. I'm not sure why this one costs $250 and the same tent down here costs $50. This is probably a Walmart tent, so $50 for this tent. That sounds about right. That sounds realistic-ish. I'm sure I could go get a tent that's very similar to this at Walmart for approximately $50. So I'm not sure why it wants so much to put my tent. Wow, okay. 53. We'll go with that. All right. So now we have a place to sleep. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to call this an episode. Ooh, missed a spot. I'll grab that in just a second. But we're going to call this an episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you're watching, God bless you. I really appreciate you. If you feel so inclined, I would appreciate a like or a subscribe or a comment or just working towards making this happen. So we'll see. Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon. Bye now.